Hello, my name is Ken Small and I'm an architect in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is one of my over 3 dozen frequently asked question videos, and in this video we're going to talk about the different kinds of documents and bidding and estimating, and why would you want to do something one way as opposed to another. This is one of those complicated things that I explain a lot to people who call me on the phone, and it seems like it's fairly complicated because the terms are new to people, and so I think it will be beneficial to post this, and then you can listen to it a few times until you have the terminology memorized and it'll begin to make some sense to you. So I'm talking about tenant improvements here as an example, and what kind of documents should be created to do a tenant improvement. And so we're going to talk about what's an estimating document, what are bid documents, what are permit documents, why even bother to create an estimate document, and why would you want to have our architectural firm or another draw a complete set of permit documents, or why would you not want to have us draw a complete set of documents? And then what effect does this have on bidding and the timeline? So all this has to do with money and what's the most cost-effective approach to a project, but a little bit of it can have something to do with making your life simpler, so we'll talk about that also. So beginning at the beginning, most people that come into our office, this is their first, second, third time of having built anything, and they don't really know what it's going to cost. Even if they had already built one, it was probably built in another state, in another city. So this is your second restaurant. The first one is in Los Angeles. There's not a good price comparison between what that one cost you and what you think this one should cost you. Maybe that already was a restaurant and you just remodeled it to suit your needs or your cuisine, and you have a vacant space here, or maybe it's vice versa. You started with vacant space there, and with this one you've leased a space that already is a restaurant, but you need to remodel it. So you don't really know what's going to cost, what you need to budget. A lot of people, before they get to us, they've gone around and asked contractors, well, what do you think it'll cost me to build a restaurant? Well, it's kind of like, what do you think it'll cost me for a meal? What is the meal? Or are we going to McDonald's? Or are we going to a steakhouse? You're just going to have the kid burger, or are you going to have the filet mignon? The devil's in the details, so to speak, of why things cost what they cost. And so what we normally do is we suggest that you have us create a preliminary design sketch, and then you can't bid off a preliminary design sketch. So just take one honest contractor and you can tell him, you know, I'm going to bid 3 contractors in the end. I just want you to tell me honestly what you think this will cost. That way you're not begging him to lie to you and tell you a low number so that you'll choose him to negotiate with in the future or try to hire him for your contractor. He's incentivized by saying that to give you a real number, because if you've only got $100,000 in the bank and this is going to cost $300,000, then it's better to just know the sooner the better that's the situation. Or if you're a little bit short, whatever. And the sketch won't contain a lot of information. It won't have anything about lighting. It won't have anything about what the finishes are, unless you have a couple of photographs or some notes about what kind of finishes you want to use. You can disclose that to the contractor, but there's no need to try to hold the contractor's feet to the fire with this. You're just going to show them the sketch and say, this is, what do you think? And so I have a whole video about that, and I'll I'll link this to that video at the end. I don't want to redo it in this video. The second group of documents that you might need are bid documents. And bid documents are enough for the contractor to bid, but not enough to pull a building permit. And so the big difference that you'll find on a tenant improvement between bid documents and enough documentation to pull a building permit is in Nevada, subcontractors are allowed to design their own trade drawing. So if you're a plumber and I, as your architect, have designed a small office and you have one restroom with a sink and a toilet and one sink in the break area, then there's no high-end mechanical engineering required to figure out that a half-inch water line goes to each one of those and that line connects to the water line that feeds the suite. So your plumber can produce that drawing a lot cheaper than a licensed engineer, and so there's a cost savings to be had there. And the same thing for the electrical and the mechanical. The next set of drawings, the next group of drawings by this characterization are permit documents. And so you have to have the architectural bid documents, which will show enough for the electrician to bid off of. We would show a ceiling plan that shows where all the lights are and where all the switches are and where all the plugs are, but we're not going to tell the electrician what kind of lights. He's going to assume it's an office. There are 2x4 lights in a lane ceiling. He's going to assume where we show an electric outlet, it's a standard electric outlet, and things like that. But you need that electrician's drawing back after the bidding process that shows the panel sizing, the panel calculations, the circuiting, to which circuit each switch is on, which circuit each light is on, how the battery backup power works. These are things that you as an owner might not care that much about, but the building department is very interested in it, and the building department needs a drawing to check against the electrician's work to make sure that he's built what's been permitted. So there's a cost savings in not hiring either us or consultants via us or engineers independent of us to create those mechanical, electrical, and plumbing drawings, because that might cost you, we'll just say as an example number, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 to have the engineer create it. But after the bidding process, the plumber, the electrician, the mechanical engineer might be willing to do it for a total of $1,500. So there's a big net cash savings. But the problem is, if you have us give you a complete package sufficient for the building department to bid off of, then you're getting a much more apples and apples comparison in these subcontractor bids, because they're not left to their own devices about guessing what they can do to try to save money. And while the bidding process is ongoing, the building department can be reviewing the plans. So the timeline for having I as the architect, or this could be any architectural firm or any engineers, the architectural and engineering design team design the plans and then submit them to the building department and then give them to you to bid or bid them for you. Concurrently, there's a time savings there. So say the average bidding process takes a month, which it certainly does in this current market. It takes a month to bid 3 general contractors, even on a tenant improvement. By the time you go through the walkthrough and they bid their subs, then you have the formal submission of the bid and you analyze all the bids and all that. A month has gone by, and during that month your plans will be down at the building department, and let us say, as an example, the plans are going to take 6 weeks to get through the building department. Then when you've decided which contractor you want, you only have to wait 2 more weeks and then you have your permit. However, if you just issue the bid documents, which are the architectural drawings, finish schedule, specifications with the reflected ceiling plan and the power shown on it. Then, after the bid is awarded, you're going to tell the contractor, prepare your MEP drawings, which is going to take a couple of weeks or maybe 3 weeks. And that's on a simple tenant improvement project. And then all that comes back to us as the architect, and we verify that it's all going to match the architectural drawings, and if there are any interior design drawings or whatever, all the drawings we've created. And then we hand that as a package over to the building department, either via the contractor or we submit it. And then your timeline of the building department plan check process begins. So, assuming the number that we said before, 6 weeks for it to get through the building department plan review process, now you're talking about that 6 weeks plus 2 weeks for the subcontractors to draw their drawings, which means that you're talking about adding 8 weeks to the total process. And that's really an unavoidable 8 weeks. If you try to be optimistic and say you're going to get through the building department in a month, you're still adding additional month plus 2 weeks for the subcontractors, which is still adding 6 weeks to the overall process by not having the AE design professional team produce the MEP drawings, a complete bid set, and permit documents all in one to hand to the building department for plan review and to hand to the contractor for, or the contractors for the bidding process. So in the Las Vegas area right now, most of the real estate management companies are offering between 2 and 3 months of where there's no rent being paid on the space prior to when the rent starts, which is theoretically the time that you have to do the build out. Well, in the example that I just gave, 6 weeks to 8 weeks of that time could be saved by having the AE team do the whole package, the whole permit document package set up front. And you probably will save a little bit on the plumber and the electrician cost, because bidding off a engineered set of drawings that come from the design professionals makes everything more of a known, so they don't tend to throw in a little bit of a fluff factor. Or you might not. These are difficult to determine issues because it depends on the general, it depends on the subcontractor. But there's a potential to save a little bit by having all that designed by the AE team at the outset. So the problem is when people call and ask how much is it for a set of drawings, the inclination of everybody who's used to being called off the internet is to give the cheapest first cost price, which is the bid documents. And then you go through the bidding process, and then you pay an extra $1,500 to the MEP engineers, and you think that you had a savings of $3,000 because you didn't have to pay for the design professionals to create those documents. Well, you might have given that $3,000 and then some to the landlord in rent while that whole timeline was occurring. So it depends a lot on how complicated your project is, and if you're just going to negotiate with one general contractor, or if you're hiring us and you are a general contractor, then obviously a lot of this doesn't apply, and how much time you're able to get from your landlord for the bidding and construction and design process. But on average, it's a little cheaper to have the AE design team produce the whole set of permit documents up front. So this is the reason why we have these different groupings of documents and do things in optional ways. There are some circumstances where one or the other will save a little bit of money for you, and a lot of our clients believe in the theory that the first cost is the only cost that they should think about, and so they go the cheaper route on the first cost side, and frequently that saves them money. So we can't really argue with that. None of this really has anything to do with the quality of design or how beautiful the space is, or whether you have interior design included or any of that. I've just factored those things out of the explanation because they don't really affect the issues that I'm talking about. All that said, estimating document, just a sketch, only used for estimating. Bid document, architectural drawings, including the finished schedule and the specifications. And then, did I say that right? Bid documents, architectural drawings, finished schedule and specifications, yes. And permit documents are the whole package as it goes down to the building department for the building department plan check. I hope this was of value to you, and you'll watch some of our other videos. I do have videos on permit expediting, but I didn't want to mix permit expediting in with this video to cloud the issue further for you. However, I will say that if you're intending to do the City of North Las Vegas self-certification expediting program, or you're planning to do the unincorporated Clark County Permit Now program, then there is very little utility in going through one of those two programs if you're going to bid first. There still might be a little bit, but you're not going to save near as much as you could have saved by entering into those programs if you just had the whole permit documents on the day you went down to the building department to begin either the self-cert program in Northtown or the Permit Now program in unincorporated Clark County. And the same may be true for other expediting programs in other jurisdictions. So my name is Ken Small. Please click on like down below. We don't ask for you to make donations or to contribute anything on this. It's all taking a lot of effort on the part of myself and others in the firm to create these videos and the scripts and all that. So if you could go to Google and like us, or go to Yelp and like us, or share our video, and definitely like our video, we would really appreciate that as repayment for the effort. The first initial consultation with me and our office is always free, and I'm always available on the phone to try to explain to you how our services can be valuable to you in the hopes of getting selected as your architect. And if there's anything that you have questions about, please email me and I'll do my best to answer it. But before you do, take a look at our other 3 dozen YouTube videos and see if any of those pertain to your question. My telephone number in Las Vegas, Nevada is 702-873-1718. Thanks a lot and have a great day.